Pro and S Pro flags that have been brought up for the brackets. We'll see as our race is getting underway. Well, you're asking for a low-powered start character, and Dark Knight Cecil is probably one of the weakest characters to start with, though once he turns into Paladin Cecil, he'll certainly be a powerhouse if you find some of his lovely weapons.
And the Luca key is not terribly useful at first until we get underground.
And even then, that's a long walk down to go and see a fight that you're probably going to be able to do until you're in at least your mid-30s, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But here we're going to get to see our objectives, and let's see what we get today. We have defeat the boss of Dwarf Castle, trade away the rat tail, clear the super cannon, and I missed the last two because I'm not that fast at reading, it seems.
They're really good at getting by those very fast.
At the very least, if they don't go and catch all their objectives on the first pass, they can go into the track menu and that board has added to the equipment menus and see what their objectives are, as long as what key items they have. So that is a secondary option they have to get their objectives.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the case at first when the objectives were put in. So there were a couple of times where I actually reset out of a seed because I accidentally hit the button too fast to read it.
Yeah, that it's not incredibly obvious. Sometimes you go to the track menu and hit left, I believe. But with their the two objectives I missed were to complete Cave Magnus, aka Required Music, and defeat Karate. That leaves us with one boss hunt, one location, which is pretty easy, I think. Not for the sake of easy bosses, but for the sake of you're really not going to have to look too hard to find the way to get to that location, because it's going to be the way underground, and you're required to find that in the overworld. But then we have to find 3 key items.
Yeah, key item hunts can be a little bit interesting. Because it could be at any spots and behind any number of little chains.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of hunting things down, and it looks like LockeColeLive is deciding to take this officer-soldier fight at the waterfall, which is interesting because it's definitely not required, but maybe he wants to go and hit those 4 treasure chests behind it.
Could be.
And he is going to be able to get through it quickly, because once this last soldier goes down, the officer decides that discretion is the better part of valor and runs away. Meanwhile, Kohrek is unmooring the hovercraft and is going to go and do the same check as well. I wonder if he's going to go and stay here, or if he's going to go and come back later after he sees that.
Nope. He noped right out of that one.
And Locke deciding he wants those chests and getting rewarded, getting a Gaia Drum and an Hourglass 2. Hourglass 2s will not be appearing in any shop except for the Coco Smith shop, potentially. And the Coco Smith shop has only 4 items and a very large pool of they can draw from, so that's a pretty nice find for LockeColeLive.
Definitely. Hourglasses are nothing to be underestimated.
And speaking of not to be underestimated, here's Rosa on Hobbs, guarded by CPU. This might be a little awkward because that CPU is in the back row, and I don't think Kohrek has been able to back row glitch his Sid yet. But Rosa is pretty worthwhile to have. Ooh, and Kohrek going and taking off Rosa's bow to give her a power staff, so she can go and do damage. I wonder if he's going to... Okay. I was curious if he's going to go and take the time to back row glitch Sid with a Rosa's short bow.
You can back row glitch in combat?
Yes. So the back row glitch, just to bring all of our viewers in, if you equip a long range weapon, you will go and get this bit called the long range bit, which means that you don't go and have any range penalties for hitting something in the back row. Like, Sid's doing half damage about to this enemy, this CPU, because it's in the back row technically. If you equip a bow, you do full damage. If you equip a bow, attack with it in combat, and switch to a different weapon, the game kind of forgets to go and take off your back row glitch, your long range status, and lets you keep it forever.
Plenty of times when that comes in handy.
Oh yeah, out of combat, you just have to go and put the bow and arrow or any long range weapon on, but in combat, you have to take one action because it requires one action to update your inventory. And meanwhile, we see Locke is fighting Odin, which, he's a scary boss, though he's not so scary when he has only 1,000 HP and Sid's doing more than a third of it each swing.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy antlion boss. And a hook.
So, bets on Kanaizo, bets on Ogopogo. Who do we go and get to have? We don't get to have Odin, sadly, because he's already been removed, but we have so many delicious options. Now, the biggest disappointment would be if we find a rat tail and that rat tail turns into a magma key, but I'm sure Risu or Demarine wouldn't do something so disappointing to us, right, Demarine? So Locke is equipped with the knowledge of we're in a hook seed most likely, but he is going to go and be discovering that there is a Rosa around to go and help him out a bit. And Kohrek is also going and fighting this Odin now. He's going to go and be as an extra character, so I might be able to get through this fight a little quicker, but it doesn't look like Kohrek looted all of Antlion Cave and did not pick up that poison axe LockeCole was using.
Usually when I do Antlion, I always try to loot that place out because sometimes it really comes in handy, and the chests that I skip always are the ones that I really shouldn't have.
I definitely know that feeling, though on T-Pro, Antlion is slightly less weighted less heavily than average, I guess is the best way to describe it, where it's not going to go and have as good stuff as some other locations, just because it's such a convenient and easy to access location, where places like the Watery Pass will have higher tier loot, and Evelyn Castle or other locations with trap chests are more likely to have stronger loot.
But sometimes when you're first starting out on this flag set, every item helps for when you get looking for money to buy the few things you need.
Agreed. That poison axe it does suffer from having very low accuracy, but it also goes and has some very high damage and an incredible sell price. So even if you don't like it, it sells for good money. And Locke finds a siren on West Hobbs. That is definitely big for him, because another item you can't go and buy on S Pro unless you're finding it in the Coco shop: sirens.
Yeah, the siren, or the difference in not having sirens is it takes some getting used to sometimes.
Oh yeah, the lack of easy grind is definitely a huge thing to find, and that might be why Kohrek is being so invested in finding these characters. He is just diving straight down this hook path, ignoring all the chests to see who his character is. He finds Rydia, and we find Antlion as the Rubicant boss spot. Not the worst boss, but certainly not one of your favorites, I'm guessing.
No, that's gonna probably hurt. Especially with the lack of levels.
Agreed. It is not going to be very easy to get levels up here. It's an important level to try and hit for Rosa is level 20, because that is when Rosa learns Berserk, and that, I imagine, while Berserk is not a spell you really want to cast on Antlion through encounters, it still might be necessary just to keep your damage up. And go ahead.
And until Rydia gets leveled up and possibly a summon or two, she's kind of not going to be very much help.
Now, there is a good chance of finding some useful summons to her. Sylph is probably one of her best early summons for a variety of reasons. And we can go and find it in chest, and we can also go and get a summon from the West House entrance, where in the vanilla game, Rydia learns Fire, and the randomizer, Rydia learns a random non-Leviathan, non-Bahamut summon. And we see Locke has found the first fight on our deals is quite free. It's the King and Queen Evelyn. They will just simply throw a few weak Smire spells out and not really do much else, as they're not so much a boss as they are a cutscene in disguise.
Hey, I like that cutscene in disguise. It makes some of the hard spots so nice.
Agreed, and I imagine Locke would definitely like to see this cutscene somewhere else, as it's really cutting away his chances of going and having an easy fight somewhere harder.
Very true.
Meanwhile, Kohrek did find the Staleman chest, and instead of actually trying to fight it, just immediately reset and is now looting every chest but the Staleman chest, which is not the worst thing because, again, this is an area with a trap chest. That means these chests in here have higher than average loot, and is finding some decent stuff. I saw a black belt, I saw a coffin. These are things that you're not too upset to see.
Nope, not at all.
And Milan Z decided he did not want to go very far today, as he is right where he's supposed to be, in his vanilla location, though with a slightly less vanilla party.
Definitely. Oh, and Kohrek found elven bows.
Yep, in this gated shop, that's definitely a good thing to pick up, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, buying one of them for Rosa, because Rosa would definitely love to have one of those. And finding illusions, Star Veils, and Cure 3s. Buying Star Veils for now, but probably wants to make a note of coming back to the shop when he has more money.
Cave Eplin is loaded for bear.
And that might be some bear essentials for this antlion fight.
Yeah, with Antlion in that spot, illusions are definitely going to be handy.
Oh yeah, that blink spell is incredibly powerful. Illusions do cost quite a bit to go and use, as they've been bumped up in their price since the 3.0 version, but the blink spell is incredibly helpful, as it just negates 2 physical attacks. And here we see where... Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the thing with illusions though is it doesn't have to be a white mage casting it. At least you can just use it on any person, and it's good to go.
Indeed, and our deals required, giving the rat tail we are required to turn in. Locke definitely has a bit of an advantage here, though I don't see Kohrek going and skipping this for too long. And we get another visibility on another character. We have a Porum, guarded by yet another vanilla boss, the Baron Guards.
And Asura on Ordeals for the last spot.
Who could be a bit rude unless you go and, well, here's the thing about Asura. She is going to go and cast one of 3 spells on herself. Cure 4, Cure 3, or Life 1. Or she's just going to go and die before she casts a spell because her team's too fast.
That's one way to deal with the fact that she cures herself.
Yeah, it turns out overwhelming damage is a very, very relatable and effective strategy, and Kohrek finding the bonus round Mist Dragon in Baron Inn. This is something that will be very helpful for him, as Mist Dragon is a very helpful check. It gives a bonus key item, as once you go and defeat it, you go to Mist Village, speak with Rydia's mother, and you get another key item. That said, the solid spot also is where Yang is punching the party in a slightly befuddled rage, and kinda hurts.
Very good point there.
Kohrek is throwing out his J-Items, is going and doing all the damage he can with them, making his, less than helpful characters of Cecil, Rydia, and Rose, the very small Rose at the moment, go and throw out some extra damage with those J-Items of the Gaia Drum and the Zeus Rage. Meanwhile, Locke is back at his airship, is now free to go wherever he feels, and I don't know if he's going to go and check. He's going to Baron in first rather than going and turning that rat tail. I wonder if he's just deciding, I want to go and get this out of the way, or if he wants to go and maybe see if he can pick up a pink tail before he checks that rat tail.
I can definitely see both sides of that, because sometimes because also there is also the potential that the pink tail could be behind the rat tail. It's kind of nice to have the pink tail so that you don't have to do or you don't have to skip out on it, because a lot of the time I won't even touch it if I don't have the rat tail.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. I certainly don't go and make the trips out there for the pink tail, because most times it gives an adamant armor. On these flags with this very specific no adamants, it surprisingly does not give an adamant armor anymore. It does, however, give a random piece of high tier equipment, but that's not always as helpful as worth the trip out there.
Especially since it can be a high tier item for anybody.
And it can be a glass hat, which is not always what you really want.
Good point.
During pointing out with a Pally Cecil, I would check that. I can't blame you, because the hopes of a Adamant or a X-Scale, Crystal Sword, or Avenger, or even a Defense Sword can all be very big game changers. Chat corrected me that it can no longer be glass hats, as that is tier 6. It was a tier 7. That's something that was rebalanced, because I do remember getting some glass hats in the past. But Kohrek is through this Mist Dragon, is picking up their Porum, and gets a Zeus Rage.
Oof. That is not what you want to see.
No, it's if you don't get a key item, you get a item from one of these random pools, and that's the really low end. But we do have a second chance of getting some value, as we do go and have the chance of getting something from D-Mist. And also, LockeCole is through this fight and came into it after Kohrek, but finished at about the same time, and has done ordeals, so that is a bit of an advantage for Locke at this point. Demarine pointing out the very useful fact, but Porum, true, Porum does go and learn the Berserk spell at level 18, which is 2 levels lower than Rosa, which is a pretty big deal at this point in time, just because those 2 levels cost a fair bit more experience to get, and getting Berserk sooner is incredibly helpful.
And the Mist Dragon spot had Rubicant.
Looks like LockeCole is more than happy to skip leg day here. Oh, well, Kohrek is going to be happy, and I think Kohrek's going to make a lot faster work of ordeals with that Bahamut summon.
Yeah, not a key item, but that's actually really good when you've got Iridia.
And LockeCole has a rat tail to check, and then he's kind of on this path to the hook where he's gonna find that Rydia. So unless he sells that Bahamut summon in the next 5 minutes, he's probably gonna be very happy, and that's gonna make that Antlion fight a lot easier. Though I guess you may want to go and invest in some number of either 1s or 2s to keep Rydia fully powered.
And we get to see Rat Tail. Oh my gosh. Apparently I can predict the future.
Nice commentary cursing. Well, it's an ultimate weapon for a character not in this party, and we only have 2 more characters we can see, and they could just be Mr. Not Appearing in the Seed. But that does have the advantage of giving an extra key item to LockeCole, and in addition to being a required objective. But LockeCole is at 4 key items, still far away from the 10, but I'm sure that can be terribly sad about going and picking up a white spear.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kohrek is in a position where looks like they're going to go and do some shopping at this point. I can't blame them, because there are some important things you want to go and have. Having a healthy supply of star veils before going into multiple boss fights can be incredibly important. And maybe he's also looking for some Ether 1s, as you really want to keep that Rydia well stocked on mana.
Yeah, because Bahamut does take quite a bit to cast.
Question from chat. At this point, do you fade Fabul? I have no idea, because I don't actually have both of our runners skip Fabul.
Looks like it.
That is incredibly rare, and Locke is choosing to go and loot Evelyn Castle, probably hoping for maybe some more items, or maybe looking for some more experience for his team. If
Well,
they both... Go ahead.
Chests in there definitely can give some good XP.
Yeah, these are definitely some noticeably higher encounters than what you would see most other places in the overworld. Though it does have the disadvantage of requiring a bit of extra damage, as that Bluster, well, it can do that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, these Black Cats only have about 550, 600 HP, so they're not terribly hard to one-shot, but if you don't one-shot them, you run the risk of losing a character.
Oh wait, Kohrek's heading to Fabul.
Looks like Kohrek is not interested in going and leaving things alone and being very diligent in his overworld checks, which I can go and agree with. Locke is going and getting charmed by the Lamia, which is another counter script for these fights, and that if you hit the Lamia and don't kill it, it charms you instead of going and killing you like the other ones do. And Kohrek finds Baigen, and Locke gets another charm, and Cecil is really trying to go and have sight beyond sight.
This is definitely not how you want to see that chest go.
No, if Locke can go and get through this fight with Sid alone, that will be fine, but if he doesn't, this is definitely a fair bit of time lost, and Cecil really wanted to look into things. And finding 2 for 1 combo in this chest. Does Locke does not just reset. Though if Locke does reset, he knows where 2 of them are, where 2 of the fights are, which would be a big boon for him. Locke is going through some of the HP-based J items with that Blizzard, though I might do reduced damage to those skull. No, not doing too much reduced damage. And if there is one benefit to the Poison Axe, it is low accuracy, but it is also bonus damage against giants, which Staleman counts as a giant.
And looks like Kohrek's got Bigan down.
So we'll get to see what we get from Fabul, while Locke is going to go and see what he gets from the second trap chest. Locke got to see it, but I didn't because that was a little too quick for me, but... that was a Crystal Summon and a Leviathan Summon from Fabul. Not as exciting when you already have Bahamut.
Yeah. Definitely nice when you don't have, when you aren't already very well equipped for summon.
Yeah, it's something that's a little sad that the King of the Monsters gets a bit overshadowed by the all-powerful Dragon Lord of the Monsters. But we do find the Mad Ogre chest, and with Cecil going and covering some of the white mages, this should go and make things a bit safer, as we're just healing up Cecil, letting him take the punches for the rest of the team, while Sid goes and just cuts down these ogres.
And life glitching them.
Yeah, if there's one way to go and get your team up to Berserk casting levels, this is definitely it. Though, I wonder if Locke has a Bahamut summon. He's definitely not going to go and need that much time to go and get through Antlion once he finds that Rydia, but he's probably going to need to take that Mad Ogre chest in Eblin in Upper Babel itself. But now Locke knows that all the rest of Evelyn is free for his pickings. He's found all 3 trap chests, so he can go and pull up some very nice stuff from here.
And it looks like Kohrek is heading to our deals now.
Definitely the play he needs to make for a variety of reasons, and is probably not going to be terribly disappointed once he goes and finds the Rat Tail and gets his Paladin Cecil online. And we find an Odin and a Sylph summon in the basement of Evelyn Castle, so this is pretty interesting. And a quick recap for the race as our LockeCole is going into Evelyn Cave for the first time. We started with Sid and Dark Knight Cecil. In Antlion Cave, we found the Hook. At Fabul, we found the Leviathan Orb. At our deals, we went and found the Rat Tail, which was turned in for the Pink Tail, which gave a White Spear. And in Baron Inn, we found a Zeus Rage with Demas there, giving a Bahamut summon. And Rydia is at the end of this hook path. And now we see Kohrek going in facing King Queen Evelyn, the fight that's really a cutscene, while Locke is doing a bit of shopping and finding a number of things he is probably quite happy to see here, and might be very happy to see these Elven Bows and Ogre Axes and Dwarf Axes for sale.
Looks like the Elven Bow, definitely happy about.
Yep, that is a very helpful piece of equipment that, one, it has Mage Killer on it, which goes and helps against Mage-type enemies, which, oddly enough, the Mad Ogres are, because I believe in Japanese they're a pun where it reads like Mad Ogre, but also sounds like it also says Mage Ogre.
I did not know that. Interesting.
And that is why the Mad Ogres are weak to mage weapons. But Kohrek finding the Staleman chest and Locke finding the Staleman chest, and unlike Kohrek, who had save scummed it, is fighting it, but he does have Sid with a poison axe who is going to be able to cut through these without too much trouble. As evidenced by simply one-shotting, though Sid has fallen asleep. That is definitely not what you want, but Cecil does have an Ogre Axe, which also does quadruple damage to these giants.
I think that said it was a or it was a charm rod. I'm not positive because that was very quickly.
Yeah, it was either Charm Rod or Charm Arrows. Either one would be helpful because Charm Arrow is another item that does bonus damage or bonus damage to giants, and also goes and gives it's the third strongest type of arrow. Here is Locke going and finding that Rydia and that Antlion, while Kohrek is going and finding the Rat Tail and getting his Cecil turned into a Paladin. So Kohrek is a bit behind Locke, as Kohrek has done a little bit more looting and shopping, I think, but Locke is definitely ahead on the checks.
We'll just have to see if if doing the extra looting makes up for being a little bit behind there.
Agreed. And Locke showing off one of the unique features of the randomizer. This is something that Board specially programmed in. If you press the select button while you're in your inventory screen, you will get to see all sorts of information about the items you're mousing over. Where this Bahamut summon teaches Bahamut to callers. Or if you go and mouse over a weapon, it'll tell you the weapon stats of the attack power, the bonus stats, the accuracy, and who can use it. In addition to any other special effects it has, which is some very helpful information, because something Final Fantasy IV doesn't really tell you is all the great stuff all your equipment can do.
I like the part of it where it shows whether or not something is going to be affected by the effect of Magnus Cave.
Indeed, that is a nice little icon. I don't know if that was something that Board had to go and bring in special, or if that was something that existed somewhere else, but it's definitely a nice touch. Well, I think with all the axes these runners have found, they're a bit ogre at this point. They might want some swords, but maybe that's asking too much.
You are terrible.
But Locke not finding any of the Mad Ogres in the first 3 chests down here. If we go and don't find one in this chest here, it's going to be on the last floor, which is a little awkward as you can't go and do the... Yep, we have to go to the bottom floor of the last chest and walk past the boss to go and get some experience for Rydia. Meanwhile, Kohrek is going and looks like he's going to have to move his hovercraft. That's a slight disadvantage for Kohrek. He's going to go and have to move his hovercraft an extra time compared to Locke, but he's not going to go and have to move it ever again after this. He's going to get both tails out of the way, and back to KM he's going to have to go.
Yeah. Not having to move it too often, or move the hovercraft too often, does save some time.
Agreed. And we have found that Mad Ogre fight. It is in the last chest on the boss floor, where you're likely to have to go back and heal up, but getting this life glitch off is going to be pretty important, I think.
Agreed, especially with the level on Rydia. Or lack thereof.
Yes, getting the levels on Rydia is going to be very important, because she really needs to go and get a bit of an MP reserve, and I don't know if Locke went and picked up any ethers. He is unaware. He was unaware when he went into the Cave Evelyn that he was going to want to give ethers for Rydia, so that could go and be changing things, and missing a life glitch because he goes and has to set Cecil to cover Rydia, which is a bit unfortunate. Rydia starting with a detrimental 2 vitality rather than 1, which gets her at 10 HP when She survived with a life potion. And 10 HP is not a quarter of her health, so she's not an HP critical, so Cecil isn't going to go and cover the small child with less HP than he goes and has his variants.
But hey, that's some nice levels.
Yep, that was a bit of a slingshot, and we do find a dwarf axe, which is a rather nice find. It is a long-range weapon that it is the only long-range weapon that Cecil or King can use, and it is also not saving after going into that fight. It's fighting the elements, so Rydia will be able to go and cast Bahamut and finish this fight off in one shot, but we are going to need to survive that fight. However, Cecil is wearing his crystal armor, which in addition to being really high defense, it also goes and has bonus defense against undead, which the Myland form of the elements fight is, which means Cecil is going to shrug off any damage that he takes from this form, as long as it's a punch.
Let's see how much damage Bahamut does. Enough to kill.
Now that spot has 6,000 HP, and with the elements, they're split between two actual enemies, so if you do a bit more than half of the damage in one or two shots, the elements never really get to go and fully progress their script and don't go and make full use of the HP at the spot, thus making it easy to kill them without doing all the damage.
Very nice.
That can be very critical in certain situations, as if you don't do direct damage, you can avoid ever advancing the script, which can be very important as well. And here goes Locke into that antlion fight. I expect we're going to go and see some Bahamuts coming out and some Cecil going and covering for Rydia as she goes straight down. As does a lot of his poor squishy casters are getting targeted by this antlion. It is not doing him any favors. This antlion is rather quick, it seems.
And the casters are still too low in levels to not be squishy.
At least Cecil is high enough in defense and level to just be able to shrug off a lot of his hits, as he's taking double-digit damage, not even triple digits from this high-level antlion. So I expect this fight is going to be a lot of wait around for Rydia's turn, cast Bahamut, come back to it, and in the meantime throw potions. And fun fact about cover, you can't use the parry command or else you stop covering.
Ooh. Did not know that.
Yes, that is why Locke went and did the weird thing of having Cecil cast Cure 2 on himself when he has two other white mages. Ooh, and I think he's going to be in for a bit of a surprise as, yeah, there's Cecil not covering Rosa when she used an HP critical.
Ooh.
Again, all these fun things you can go and learn about this game. And there's the other reason that you don't want to go and attack with Cecil, because that goes and gets Antlion to throw out a counterattack, which is magic, and Cecil can't go and automatically block that. And we see that Locke is going and throwing out Sylphs with Rydia. The reason for this is Sylph has a little bit of a glitch attached to it, where it doesn't take the MP that it costs when you use it, as long as you have the MP to cast it. Rydia only has 67 MP left, so if you cast a Bahamut, she would no longer have the MP to go and cast Sylph, and wouldn't be able to go and do much afterwards, it seems.
And having Sylph be able to be free cast like that, it definitely is useful.
The one thing that is probably a downside for Locke at this point is that free cast Sylph goes and heals his party, which takes him out of the HP critical state and into the no longer covered by Cecil state.
Yeah, that's not quite so helpful.
And Forum showing off another factor of this game. The life spell has an accuracy. It's not 100%, and if you don't have enough willpower, it can miss! Ooh, and Kohrek took a reset because he berserked Cecil, which was definitely not what you wanted to have happen, because another thing that keeps Cecil from blocking other characters, Berserk. But we're making steady progress to this fight, though we are definitely trying to go and avoid using a lot of direct attacks to avoid those counters. Rose's aim command, however, does avoid doing direct damage or triggering a counterattack.
Unfortunately, Sid isn't quite as useful.
Yeah, that's something where Kane and Yang definitely have a big edge over over Sid, where Kane can jump, Yang can power, even Edge can throw, but... Ooh, Pretty goes down again. The last life potion for Locke as well. That could definitely be detrimental, as now his only source of revives are his white mages.
And if he loses both of them...
This fight gets... Well, it's already pretty ugly. Cecil might be able to power through it through pure attrition, as Cecil is not taking extraordinary amounts of damage, but this is definitely not a fight you want. Meanwhile, we see Kohrek is getting through that Madurgus fight, but Antline is down.
Good timing on that, considering.
That puts Locke as our first runner underground at 41 minutes and 55 seconds about. We'll see if Kohrek can go and make up a bit of time on having a smoother antlion fight, but however long it takes is going to be however far behind Kohrek is behind compared to Locke. And Locke not taking a few steps out of their way to go and check the boss on top of Lower Babel, which can be a bit of a... Well, it's a helpful bit of information just so you know if it's a Lunar Sparkle, if it's Golbez, or if it's something incredibly free like, say, Baron... Well, I've already seen Baron Guards. I guess Dark Imps and Bahamut are the most free bosses we have left.
And any chance to to sneak a peek at a boss is helpful.
Yes, and to clarify, Bahamut was from Baron Inn, technically. It was from the Demist found at the karate spot in Baron Inn.
Yeah, Baron Inn was a Zeus rage, if I remember right.
It was a source of disappointment and nothing else.
Very true.
And Kohrek going and berserking his Cecil and does get to the other half of the Elements fight, but here comes the dragon to say goodbye to the last phase.
That didn't last long.
It was definitely a brief greeting for sure. Kohrek choosing not to save, going straight into this antlion fight, while Locke finds Evil Wall at Dwarf Castle. Dwarf Castle being the #1 objective that is required. I don't know how much he's going to enjoy doing this Evil Wall, though.
I kinda question that not saving bit.
Kohrek is going to take advantage of Slow. That's something that Locke did not do. You can go and cast Slow twice on these flags or twice in general to go and get the maximum effect, which will go and cut down on Antlion's turns, which, if you're not using a relative agility 1 anchor, can be pretty massive.
True. I'm just one of those people, I guess, that tends to safety save a little too much.
Oh no, I definitely, safety saving is the safe play. It is definitely a good idea, but I can definitely see choosing not to save and just going straight into this fight, if you have Bahamut and you think, I can just do a bunch of damage, I can make Cecil go and cover, and this should be fine. Oh, and it looks like Locke does not have any mana for a Bahamut, so he is not in position to go and do much other than attack. That's something that's very easy to forget in these, after you finish the hook boss. Like, yeah, it's a big boss fight. I have anywhere to go. Let's go. And, oh, right, I did something pretty important, but I never actually healed up after fighting that boss. Whoops.
Yeah. I've done that before. It's not pretty sometimes.
Yeah, that's, Speaking of pretty, this is a pretty good addition to your team. There's Fusoya.
Oh.
He is the mage with all the spells once you go and beat enough bosses on these flags.
And it looks like he doesn't need that many more bosses to fully power up.
No, he does not currently have Nuke, but he does have Quake, which could go and be all he does have White, so if you want to go for that instead, that'll also work. And poor him getting the boot because Fusoya goes and... Fusoya is a black mage, Fusoya is a white mage, Fusoya is every mage, and Fusoya is going to have more HP than Porum for about... ever. Okay, fine. And at level 60, Porum, I believe, starts going and catching Fusoya on HP.
Yeah, but you really don't want to have to level up that high in a normal run of this.
No. Though, Fusoya does go and enable another way of leveling up with the D Machine grind, as Fusoya will go and have access to weak before the rest of these characters will. But Kohrek is through the Antlion fight, it is crumbling, and he'll be getting through into the underground at 47 minutes and about 40 seconds, it seems. Only a few minutes behind Locke. That puts, with Locke getting through this Dwarf Castle, that puts him about one check behind, but there's still plenty of game to be had, and there's still a lot to be found. Like that pass from Dwarf Castle.
That definitely could come in handy later. Nothing quite like having a shortcut to Zeramus when you're ready for it.
And it's a required pass as well, so neither of our runners are going to miss it. That's something that can make going up to the moon early not so bad, as, well, you don't want to go back to the moon to have to find more stuff, but you do go and have a freeway to the Zeromus. If you find what you need, come back to Earth, do that, and then you're ready to go and face the final boss. And speaking of facing things, Kohrek knows he'll be facing a lunar sparkle on the top of Upper Babel, or Lower Babel, excuse me. That always confuses me. It's the top of the bottom. Ooh, and Locke, showing off why you go to the Fey March before you go to the Sylph Cave, finding the pan. That will make going and checking that very safe, as it will go and give 2 key items, and you'll be able to take it to Sheila and get the additional free check from the Sheila 1 check.
And now we get to see the bosses here.
A Lunar Sparkle and Golbez. How nope is this sparkle? Not so nope.
That's not bad.
Especially since everyone's at low HP, it's not too hard to go and just, yeah, there's, Bridia is being placed on the altar of, we need to go and get a recount, please, help us out here. Oh, but Locke, I just remembered, burn through all their life potions. I think they have to rely on Life 1 cast in order to get people back up.
Ooh, did not think about that one.
No, and Rydia is going to be going up and down this fight because Rydia still doesn't have any MP for Locke. We're just going to go and throw out some berserks, and kind of wait for the rest of this fight to go on. Meanwhile, looks like Kohrek did go and choose to refresh himself, as their Iridia has full MP, all 173 of it, so that is 2 casts to Bahamut, which can be very helpful. And it looks like Rose's Berserk missed as well. That's very uncommon, but not impossible with Berserk. Oh, right. Cecil has Crystal Armor. You can't go and Berserk him.
Oh! Yeah, I've done that before, and then couldn't understand why it was missing, so I definitely can see the mistake.
Yeah, there is one piece of equipment in this game that gives you immunity to the detrimental Berserk status, and that is the Crystal Armor, which is why it's clearly the best piece of armor in the game, right?
Hey, it sells for good money.
That it does. And in a pinch, it can go and really give you a bunch of defense, as Cecil, even Berserk would be nice, but 146 damage from Evil Wall Punch, that's pretty good too.
Good point.
And then is Evil Wall down on Kohrek, while Locke is going and chewing through more of this Plague HP. Plague is... he's not going to go and be long for this world unless Fu runs out of... or unless Locke runs out of ways to cast Revive on his team, and he's starting to go and get into that position. Poor Porum, going and getting kicked to the curb as soon as the old man shows up.
Nobody likes Porum for some reason.
I guess they believe Fu is way better at mopping up. But here comes Fusoya going and showing off all of his fun spells. Meanwhile, Locke is still going and chewing through Plague's HP. There is 32,000 HP here, but that's still a fair amount of HP to go and chew through when you're doing 1,000 a swing. But Plague is down. That is something that we can go and be looking forward to, and we'll see what Locke gets from this Feymarch boss.
Well, Nuke and Media was in the list for spells.
And a legendary sword that is not required. It's a key item. It brings you closer to 10 key items, but that was a fair bit of investment for a bit of a whiff.
Yeah. Time investment. It doesn't quite seem as worth it as it could be.
Those Ether 2 seem worth it, as when you're in the question of having mana or not, it's really an Ether ore question.
Do we need the pun police here?
I thought the fun police were from Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior, Dragon something Misery Rando. Thank you, Demarine. That's the nicest thing you've done to me all night. Oh, and Locke showing off the Piggy Pally strats. More interesting parts about Final Fantasy IV, because this game is... there's a lot of things you're not going to go and notice in your first casual playthrough. And one of them is there's a status priority. If you have one status, you can't go and get certain other ones. In this case, if you are all pigs, you cannot go and be paralyzed.
Wow. That's something I'd never seen before.
That is a vanilla speedrun strat. You use it in the, I know it's used on Mylon, it's used at the back attack spot on Mount or Ordeals to prevent your characters from getting poisoned, and you use Mute as well to go and prevent your party from getting paralyzed.
That's actually really nifty.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff to go and find out in this game. That's part of what makes Free Enterprise my favorite rando. And if you are looking at this and not seeing this for the first time, or seeing it for a bit and wondering what is this and where can I get in on it, you can go and join us at our Discord, or you can go and roll your own seeds at FF4FE.com. And our tracker, Gambit, has gone in providing a link in chat. That is definitely something to go, and if you're enjoying it, come and join us. It's something we all like, and we like to go and talk about it a bunch.
And it doesn't matter, even once you try it, doesn't matter your skill level. Everybody's welcome.
Indeed. We have another thing coming up here. The dwarf, who in the vanilla game says, I am a farmer, gets a bit of a job change every time we roll one of these seeds, and today he's an environmental analyst. Oh, and downside to that piggy strat, you can't actually cast spells as a piggy. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to reflect spells back on Golbez and hitting him, unless he does have a heal potion in his inventory, but that swing from Sid is enough to go and trigger Golbez's counter strict of why. Oh, and chat correcting me as environmental research analyst. Thank you. Golbez only giving a Stardust Rod, so nothing required down in Feymarch. Well, there's a pan which can go and give key items, but none of the fights at least are required.
So we're gonna just have to see what Kohrek decides to do.
Indeed, Kohrek is deciding to spend a fair amount of money on buying Ether 2s, which I can definitely understand with this mana hungry team. Locke going down to the bottom of Sylph Cave to throw out that to wake up Yang with a bit of a interesting wake-up call. Normally when a pan comes out, you're expecting something like breakfast rather than a, broken head. And Kohrek thinking, nope, I'm not taking those fights. So Kohrek, whatever time he's lost to other checks, is making them up by skipping these Feymarch bosses.
And that could definitely pay off in this case.
Well, Kohrek is choosing not to turn in the pan, but instead to go and check the sealed cave. While LockeCole is choosing to just go back up and turn in that pan because that gives him 2 more key items. I didn't see what the Sylphs gave, but there's a lot of things to go and get from here. Ah, thank you. A ribbon from Yang. That's, a ribbon from the Sylphs. So, nice piece of equipment, but not progress. So at this point, it means that this the Darkness Crystal or the path to the Darkness Crystal is either at Sheila 1, Sheila 2, Sealed Cave, or this Lunar Sparkle on the top of Tower.
Now we just gotta see. This is definitely proving interesting.
Agreed. This is definitely a big divergence for the runners. And Locke going and needing to go and do that Fabul check because Locke did go and completely fade it. This will cause not too much time, but we'll give Kohrek a little bit of extra catch-up, I guess. And to clarify for chat, the Feymarch had, in the free chest, the Pan, on Plague, the Legend Sword, on Golbez, a Stardust Rod. Locke getting his Leviathan, Kohrek going and showing us what item do we have here in Sealed Cave.
Darkness crystal. Not bad.
Yeah, you know what is bad? Demarine forgetting to randomize the seed. We've had Vanilla Mylon Z. We have a Karate in Sealed Cave, so this is extra required. And Pan was apparently a total bust. Wow. This Sealed Cave is super required, and Locke has two choices on where to go. They can either go up that tower or down this cave. And Locke is looking to seal the deal, it seems.
Kohrek is at least remembering that warp out is possible.
And Rydia learns it at a surprisingly low level, which is very helpful. That is the one big advantage she has over Palom, who learns it at a level 29, I think. Granted, Fusoya has it as well, but we want to go and save Fusoya's MP for literally anything else. So with this, we know that Kohrek very likely to go and check Sheila 1 and 2 to go in, because it's a pan that is 3 checks. You can't go and just say, I don't need those. So we're going to go and see that check from Kohrek. Locke is going to go and have a fun run down to the bottom of Sealed Cave. And then there's the question of, do you go to the moon or do you go and Peak Tower without a key?
Honestly, if I was the one doing it, I would probably peek the tower, but different people do it differently.
We do know it's a Lunar Sparkle up there. We know it's not play because that's the only Lunar Sparkle we have seen. And we also know that Locke doesn't know it's a Lunar Sparkle, so that could go and adjust things. What we're going to need to see is, Kohrek choosing to go up tower. Not going to turn in Pan yet, just simply going and choosing to rest up, I'm guessing at the bottom of this tower, and see if they can go get anything. Casting Cure through with Rosa instead, it seems, to go and heal up. So if this tower turns out not to go and give much of anything, and Locke goes straight to the moon, that goes and gives Locke a bit of a lead again.
Yeah, because at this point, they're really close.
Oh yeah, they have been on the same path. There have been some minor divergences here and there, but they have been kind of stuck on the same path for a bit. And here's the first place for them to really break it open.
Though there's definitely some Lunar Sparkle options that are not pleasant that could be here.
Agreed. We still have Wyvern. We still have Ogopogo. The Paladin could be not the worst, but if you forget about a certain counterattack, it could be pretty mean. And speaking of forgetting things, Locke is forgetting that Warp works in Sealed Cave, which is costing him a bit of time. Walking through these rooms fairly and honestly is a bit of a loss, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But to answer a question from chat, the 2 remaining objectives we have, destroy the Super Cannon and complete Cave Magnus, well, they both require key items. We need to go and find the tower key in order to go and destroy the Super Cannon.
No, bro!
And there goes Sid. But we'll see how we want to deal with this. We see a Star Bell coming up, and we see Nuke getting cast by Fusoya. That makes a lot of sense because one of the things that this absolute jerk does is counter every single magic spell with Blaze. So a few nukes is going to go and be most of what's required to go and get through this Nope Rope's HP, but you could go and finish this off with a Bahamut from Meridia as long as you don't go and have to worry too much about your health. Chat pointing out that Kohrek might have been okay with losing Sid here because he only has a Dwarf Axe for agility manipulation, which is a very good point. The big item that you want to go and have for agility manipulation is a Curse Ring, which is minus 15 to all stats. If you can't get that, then getting a Sid and getting him a Dwarf Axe, which takes away 5 agility, and Sid has pretty terrible agility growth, can make him a fine anchor.
And a package.
Not required, resetting out. Locke coming up here is going to go and discover the same thing, so... And Kohrek remembering that he has a save at the bottom of the tower, so he doesn't even need to go and do the walk out. So Kohrek is back in the lead as this is everything available on Earth cleared. Demus has already been found. There is nothing to be... no hiding, so... This is just a straight spot check until you find your 2 key items. And yeah, chance on it. Moon is not haunted this seed. Moon is required. And Kohrek is going to go and be turning in the 2 items from Sheila. And I expect they'll be going Moon unless the thought of those Fame Arch bosses really sticks with them and haunts them a bit.
That's the problem with the Fame Arch bosses. You either fade them and it bites you, or you fade them and it turns out the good plan, and you can never tell until you do it.
Yep. Meanwhile, we see Locke going and throwing out spells and getting hit with those counter attacks, which they hurt a bit. You can avoid them because in spots with terrible magic power, it's very easy to go and dodge certain spells, but it is going to eat through your health very quickly. Ooh, and a wave coming out and missing Fusoya, but taking out Rosa, which is definitely not what you want to see.
Looks like Kohrek's going and getting the whale.
Kohrek is definitely into the moon play, doesn't want to go and be baited by anything else, and Locke is taking a wipe to Ogopogo, which is very unfortunate. If they saved at the top of tower, that's okay, but they saved at bottom and they're just leaving. That's good for them just because we know it's a package, but I can see them feeling the need to come back there later. But this is our runners just minutes, like a minute apart at most in launching the big whale and going to the moon. So this race is still anyone's game.
Definitely making this one an exciting one.
Agreed. Kohrek was about 3 minutes behind Locke going underground. Locke did the 2 Fame Arch bosses, and Kohrek has skipped them, which is a big place where Kohrek has made up their time. So this is something that we still have a race. This is going to be a race for a long time, I'm expecting. Chat pointing out that LockeCole does have the advantage of an extra key item. That means it's only going to take 2 key items for Locke to go and get to 10 key items, start getting double experience, where it'll take 3 for Kohrek. That is something that can go and swing things, as getting double experience on the moon is very helpful. That really turns your team into powerhouses. And our runners choosing two different paths. Kohrek choosing to do Cave Bahamut, while Locke is choosing to go straight to the lunar subterranean. But Kohrek finds a cursed ring.
Oh, that's nice.
That lets Sid go and gain levels for the rest of the seed, and you don't care because, hey, look, I can go and take off 20 points of agility. That is very helpful for Kohrek, especially on this moon. Kohrek finding that Leviathan is occupying Bahamut's spot today, maybe figure that Bahamut was out of the office and could sneak in to maybe get a stealth promotion, while Locke finds Porum and still doesn't want Porum in his party.
Poor Porum.
Look, we're just keeping Porum safe from all the terrible things that are going to be going on in the seed, right? And Locke making a very standard play of going straight to the bottom of the lunar subterranean, gonna go and save that save point down there and start clearing bosses. I don't know if we checked shops or cabins and found them, but if we don't have them, that is going to make this a little awkward because Vesoya does not have a lot of HP. I don't think Locke also picked up any extra life potions, so Locke could be in a pretty awkward situation if he gets into some hairy fights down here.
Yeah, I did not see him pick up any life potion.
Well, with the number of stairs he's going down, he's at least prepared to be more than 6 feet under. Meanwhile, Leviathan is, well, Leviathan's trying, but Bahamut doesn't really have any great magic stats, which kind of hurts Leviathan's chances of doing real damage.
And Octomam at... I thought I saw what room it was, but now my eyes are sort of... I think that was Ribbon Room?
Yes, that is the Ribbon Room. This is the D-Lunar spot. This Octomam is going to go and beat people up real good, it seems. But Rosa getting a blink off on Cecil. Cecil putting a cover on Rosa. So this team is looking ready to go and do some cover strats. And with that, I think we're going to be in pretty fine shape here. Well, whoever's in the bed in Kaipo is about to be in a bit more fine shape as well, as we find the Sand Ruby in Cave Bahamut. No value here today. That is, however, a key item, so still helpful for Kohrek. That brings him one closer. That evens him up with Locke, but Locke has the advantage of being actually in a fight, and that could be a pretty big difference, as if both items are here in the lunar subterranean, Locke has a distinct advantage. If they're behind a chain and you need to go back to the earth and Locke goes and checks Cave Bahamut before doing that, that can go and even things up for Kohrek. But another property of Octomam, the more times you hit him, the slower he gets because you're cutting off his arms, which, well, that's pretty mean for most people, but if there's one boss that deserves to go and be disarmed, it's Octomam, because really, look at that smile. Yes, and to answer chat, yes, Kohrek did skip both Feymarch bosses. Locke did go and do that, so if Kohrek needs to go back to the Earth, that is something that could be weighing on him and take up some of his time as well, as the Plague and Golbez and Feymarch did go and eat up a fair amount of time from Kohrek. Or from Locke, excuse me. And to answer another question from chat, yes, we have found Demas. Demas was at the Baron Inn. It gave the Bahamut summon that these readies are using. And Kohrek choosing to go and do a top-down clear. So this is that Baron key that LockeCole found could go and have both of our key items. It could go and just be bait. We're gonna have to go and see where this leads. Well, hi Bahamut.
That's not really too bad a boss.
No, Bahamut is free in a lot of books, and I agree with that pretty wholeheartedly because Starveil, it's only going to use Mega Nuke. Starveils are an item. And speaking of free, we find the Water Hag, who 3 hits and they're down. So we're going to quickly see what is on the White Spear altar. Kohrek is going and getting his Rydia back up. And we find Crystal Armor on that altar. So 2 buffs down in the bottom of the Lunar Subterranean. It looks like we're going to have a number of key items gated behind other key items, which might be a bit ugly.
Apparently, we need lots of crystal armor.
And Locke is going and moving their way to the Masamune altar. Imperial Dragon, do you know what boss we haven't seen already?
My memory is failing me today.
Well,
Oh! Sorry about people's ears.
Well, yes, I believe Magus has answered the call, and Team Wyvern has shown up in the Ogopogo spot. Not the Elk Gauntlet, but still pretty toasty.
That is definitely not something I like seeing in that spot.
No, that is definitely a spot that you really don't enjoy seeing a full-powered Mega Nuke come out of that magic power, because Ogopogo has some pretty strong magic power. To be entirely honest, this probably has the highest balance of stats of any spot in the game. The Evil Wall might be fast and have high magic. The Wyvern spot might have high physical, but this spot not topped out on both of those, but still high on both. Ooh, and not having good luck anchoring this, which is a big problem for Locke. There is a Curse Ring in Cave Bahamut that Kohrek has found, but for now, Locke is going to have to fade this spot. And both Kohrek and LockeCole are going to the same spot. They are going to the Crystal Sword altar, which, if you never found this in the vanilla game, I don't blame you. It's on the invisible bridge that just happens to be in the room that doesn't go and show it.
To be honest, the only reason I found this when I started playing the randomizer was because I actually looked up map.
Well, there's a lunar boss in a slightly French vanilla location, but not going to be too bad. And these D-Lunars are probably going to have too much health either, as this spot isn't exceptionally high in HP, but we do want to make sure we don't get too aggressive on attacking them, as they will switch over to their virus script. I did not find the way to this altar for years until I literally just started going through every single spot on the Lunar Subterranean trying to find a hidden path. And that little gap between the treasure chest and the other location seemed a little suspicious to me after my I don't know how many paths of the Lunar Subterranean. But Kohrek getting through the fight faster, and Locke moving on to the virus script, but I believe they're getting close to finishing it unless their Fusoya went and took a dive.
And only a ninja sword for their troubles.
Still haven't seen the 7th character, but I imagine at this point, if you don't have Edge, you're not going to go and really take that ninja. So right now, we have 3 spots that have not been checked. The 2 Baron Key spots, and that Wyvern at Masamune altar. And that's it. So our 2 key items can lead to other key items, which is helpful, but that's something that's going to go and take a bit of time to go through, and I expect Locke is going to be healing up and going back in, or is Locke going to be going and diving their Baron Key?
I would probably go for the diving the Baron Key myself.
Yeah, we know that there's probably something there, unless Wyvern has something critical, but Locke has not gone and checked the 2 spots here. We know that it's a Sand Ruby and an Adamant. That Adamant can be helpful for Locke because that'll give him an Excalibur because you have the Legend Sword from Plague. But not super required. But Locke did take 2 whips of Wyvern and skip that, and Kohrek is now starting the Octomam fight and is going to be fighting the free water hag shortly. So with this, I expect Locke's going to be able to get off this moon faster because he's not going to be spending time on a Wyvern fight that Kohrek is going to, but Kohrek will more likely be able to complete that Wyvern fight because he's got the team who can go and anchor properly and throw walls.
Yeah, that's definitely a better position to be in.
Alright, so here's the fun thing about Wyvern. Well, when we get to it, I'll go and talk about it. But I'm hoping we see a rather interesting strategy from Kohrek on Wyvern. Here's Octomam going and getting roasted and toasted by Fusoya, going and getting all sorts of fun things thrown at him. And yeah, this Octomam does not go and survive nukes and mega mooks very well. Bahamut also doesn't seem to survive nukes and mega nukes very well.
No, I don't think much survives it very well.
You know, I get the distinctive feeling that you're right with that.
Unless they have a star veil or a wall up to reflect it back.
Very true, and thankfully, our mega nukes can't go and be reflected. But there's LockeCole finishing up Bahamut, getting levels, getting Cure 4 on Rosa, and getting an Adamant, which that is an Excalibur for that Cecil, who's taking a bit of a nap right now. And now Kohrek is through that Octomam, so both have one boss that the other's done. Kohrek is going to go and be the first... Well, they're both hitting 10 key items at the same time, excuse me. Unless I'm miscounting. Excuse me, Kohrek's still at 9. There's only, well, no, Locke, I believe I'm having trouble counting.
Does the pass count?
Pass does not count, so yes, it is only 9 for both our runners.
I always have trouble remembering that one.
Yes, that was changed. Pass was a key item in earlier versions, but with version 3, because Pass could the pass flag was changed to be in a shop, in a treasure chest, or in a or at least the way it was changed. It could go and be in multiple different locations. Boardface was forced to go and remove it as a key item to prevent it from double counting from other sources. So we don't go and have it as a key item anymore.
It makes sense.
Agreed. And there's Kohrek going and discovering that he's finding another suit of crystal armor, and is then going to be probably discovering where Wyvern is. But that also means that we have seen the only lunar sparkle we have not seen so far this seed is Hail Dim.
And to be honest, for the lunar sparkles, Pale Dim is not really as fearsome.
No, he's probably the most tame of all of them, though he can still punch hard and the slows are annoying, and he will go and do annoying encounters to certain things, but agreed, he's definitely not the scariest of the 5. But here goes Kohrek to go and get the lovely surprise of who's at Masamune Altar. Does get a run buffered Starveil off, but only gets 1 off. And with how this is going to go, I wonder how Kohrek is going to approach this fight. It's going to be hard to go and get enough life potions off because these nukes are going to get hit hard and are probably going to be killing characters left and right. Or not. That nuke only did 500 for Rydia.
That is definitely not the damage I was expecting.
So the bosses don't fully take all of the stats from the spot. Cecil's taking 1300, so Rydia definitely went and dodged some rolls on the that nuke. Rosa taking another one. This Wyvern just going and targeting all the people and walking out of Cave Bahamut, which is a little unfortunate. Oh, walking up to go and use a Siren. That is something. He's got 10 key items that will go and give him double experience. That will be very helpful. And this is an encounter you can go and double up for 180,000 experience. So I don't know if we...
Kohrek just reset out of that? But it looks like he's going back.
Set his battle speed to 5. That is going to be very helpful, as that will give him plenty of time to go and queue up a number of Starveils. And LockeCole, using the hourglass he found at the start of the game. This is probably my favorite place to use it because getting a lot of experience out of this is going to be very helpful. And thank you, Free Enterprise, for the raid. We are quite far into this race. We have 2 objectives left to find. We have no visibility on our super cannon and no visibility on our twin harp. We have 1 spot on the moon that has not been checked, and then we have a bearing key that was found on the moon that wasn't checked. Yes, Kohrek is going and doing my favorite strategy against Wyvern. He is casting a summon. He's casting Bahamut. Do you know what Wyvern does when you go and cast Bahamut on someone?
Mega nuke.
Unfortunately,
It didn't go off.
Taking a dive. That's another reset. Oh.
I remember finding that counter out by accident.
I think everyone finds out that counter by accident once. I quite thoroughly enjoyed that, though, as it was rather satisfying to go and kill Wyvern with reflected Mega Nukes.
It is definitely a good strategy if you've got the right setup for it.
Yeah, and Kohrek is going back in, going to go and give it another shot. I definitely hope that you're able to go and get this off, because this is definitely pretty important. But Locke going and leaving Wyvern, not having the proper equipment for it, definitely very reasonable, and is going to go to Baron now. And Kohrek trying to go and set this up again. Going to go and see if he can go and get this off. Nuke on Cecil, which is definitely better because Cecil has the HP to tank that hit and can throw a Cure 3 on himself. Here comes a helmet. Here comes a truckload of damage. And I believe we're going to see a truckload more from Wyvern. Noticeably less for a good reason. Wyvern adjusts his magic power down after going and casting Mega Nuke and casting Nuke proper, because Nuke's a bit unfair if you don't do that.
And unfortunately, that killed.
Yeah, I think Kohrek is going to have to go and choose a different strategy here or fade this fight, because this is not quite working out. And Kohrek is choosing to fade. If something's here, it's going to be a battle between both their runners to get through this. And if they do go through this, I'm going to give Locke the advantage because, well, Kohrek has the Cursed Ring. Locke will have an Excalibur should he choose to turn it in. So if we see nothing from this Baron, we know you have to go back to that fight. But Locke is going to go and need to check the top of Upper Babel, and Kohrek is going to need to do both Feymarch bosses to confirm that.
But looks like Kohrek's going to Baron.
And fighting that Dark Elf who gave us the item we started with at the start of this game, which was the Luca Key. And Dark Elf, not having the boss bit, is susceptible to a variety of status ailments, including poison. And not so instant death. And Kohrek not too far behind, just going to go and be charging in. We're going to see who's on the throne, what item is in the Baron trash can.
Oh, fun.
Looks like Baron's having a bit of sewer problems, as this is the Sewer Revolt.
Not really hard, just takes some time.
Yeah, apparently they didn't go and have a turtle to wash away their issues. And getting a vanilla Jadam drop in the form of a Unihorn. Those can be very helpful in some situations, but not necessarily helpful in others. And here comes out Bahamut, but unfortunately Dark Elf has his health split into two forms, so you can't one-shot him, you have to at very least two-shot him.
Won't be too long.
Nope, we'll see if Kohrek is able to make up some ground with Rydia in the top slot at Relative Agility 1, but maybe not, as I don't know if Rydia even has Quake yet. Rydia's at 39, Rydia does not have Quake, but Kohrek is choosing to go to the basement first.
That's an interesting call.
Yeah, I wonder if they're thinking they can go and they want to check both of these anyways, so let's check here first and see what they get. I don't think we have anything exceptionally nasty left, and these Dark Imps definitely don't count as nasty in my book.
No, not at all.
They will hit a bit hard, but we're going to try an Odin cast, which might be a bit better, though Odin has some pretty poor accuracy.
Apparently, it chose to hit this time.
Certainly cutting through my expectations. Ooh, and just getting a Magma Key, not bad for Kohrek because it is his 10th key item, but definitely not what he wanted, so it's either in the Baron Pot or at Wyvern. And it can still be at Wyvern because we need 2 key items. Chat going in, hoping for a chain continues in the form of an Earth Crystal. I like it.
Oh.
Let's see what we get. It's at Wyvern. You have to do Wyvern.
Oh, so bad.
Our runners are going to be clearing the rest of the Earth that they skip because they don't know it. Locke's going to be running back up to kill Ogopogo at the top of tower. Kohrek is going to be doing Fey March. Demarine, I believe, yes, you do have the touch. You do have the way to instill pure, undistilled suffering upon our runners. I appreciate you for that.
Well done, Demarine.
I believe our runners are seeing a very different D word with Demarine's name attached to it, but good seed. Yep, and confirmed from chat, Mist Dragon was found at the Baron Inn Karate location and gave the Bahamut stun that has been carrying a lot of damage in this siege. So now, if Kohrek goes and does Fey March, he'll get the Legend Sword and will be in the neighborhood to go and make an Excalibur. Honestly, both our runners will be in the neighborhood to make an Excalibur if they go and clear up their Earth checks. And I can kind of see that being something they want to do.
Especially since that shop can have some nice stuff in it.
Agreed. And River's pointing out that Locke is going to have issues winning without Cursed. Agreed. This is something that Locke is going to need to go and find a way to deal with. We do know that Ogopogo gives package. Locke may choose to walk that out because he can get Porum back. And
did we see all 7 characters?
We have not. There could be a fresh character there as well. So there are hopes for characters to go and re-anchor, but there's also a good chance of not seeing them. Though I guess if you do both package and... well, no, we still haven't seen Earth, so the 7th character could be locked behind Wyvern. They do have Giant open if that doesn't work, but you could just have one copy of the 7th character in the seed, and that character is locked behind Wyvern.
That would be rude.
Yeah, but let's be honest, it'd also be hilarious.
I'm not arguing that one.
And we are also going to get to see what is in this shop, because this shop can have any goodie item in the game. Okay, maybe not any, but some of the most powerful items in the game. We have coffins, life staffs, and things that are not sirens or Bacchus.
Well, sorcerers aren't bad.
Sorcerer robes are definitely worth buying for this team when you have Iridia and a Rosa. But here is Kohrek going underground and is going to go and fight that Golbez and that Plague. Plague will probably not be an issue for Kohrek as he has Bahamut, he has Nuke, and he has a Cursed Ring so he can be relative agility 1 and just Zerk his Cecil. And Jeep is pointing out they did get Artemis arrows from Baron. That will make Wyvern a lot easier. That is a good point that I have overlooked, because you can also Zerk that character and just have them go to town.
Yeah, those arrows definitely are nice.
And Locke is beelining his way to the Lower Babel to go and fight the Ogopogo again, while Kohrek is in the Feymarch, and he's going to go and discover that, yeah, there's a key item here, and yeah, there's a nice piece of equipment here, but this isn't where progression is. I have to go through Wyvern.
I can't blame them for noping out a Wyvern, but it definitely isn't going to pay off.
You can run from it all you like. The result is still the same. You have to kill that dragon. Ooh, and Kohrek forgetting to go and heal up, so his Vasoya is not quite topped off on MP, so needs to go and spend his first turn casting using Ether 2. Though Kohrek is still going to go and benefit from this, as he's still having his Cecil use an Ogre Axe, and Excalibur is going to be a huge advantage, a huge step up for him.
Definitely.
Oh, and PK, there is a 100% chance that Wyvern has the chain that leads to Zot, because the only things we have left are Tower Key, Twin Harp, and Earth. One of those is going to lead to a dead end, but they all have to lead to each other for now. The only real question is, do we have to go through Zot, which is what I'm hoping for. Okay, yes, that clarification does make sense now, sorry. And Kohrek showing off a little feature about the ATB system is, if you have too many actions going out at the same time, the game can't really go and properly process your status effects. And with Plague, that means they can't really kill you, except Rydia, who has a multi-turn cast. Then it goes and has a chance to go and check. But Fasoya, who's going and throwing out nukes or viruses, he can go and just simply throw up a Cure 2, Ether 2, excuse me. And there goes Plague down a bit faster than it did for Locke, but Locke has finished Plague faster than Kohrek was able, or Ogopogo faster than Kohrek was able to, and they both discover the items that the other one has seen. There is a reset from LockeCole, and I don't blame Kohrek for not resetting out of that Legend Sword, because that is an Excalibur, and that is a huge upgrade for Cecil. But there is Locke going back up to the moon. We're going to see how Locke deals with this Wyvern.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Can't nope out of it forever.
No, that is definitely not something you can go and get away from at all. And going away from Cape Bahamut, which unfortunately we know is where a Cursed Ring is. So that is something that is not going to go and help out Locke in the slightest. This is... I need to go and look up the values of the agility for this spot to see what you can do against a Wyvern there. Because this may be very ugly for Locke if he doesn't have a way to really anchor. I know that Kohrek has a Dwarf Axe, but I don't know if Locke picked up the Dwarf Axe.
I think I saw Dorfex in the inventory, but I thought I saw it sold.
Ah. We know that Evelyn sells them so you can get another, but that might not be enough. And another person we see using the status priority is Kohrek, using Size instead of Piggy. which with mages means that they can still cast their spells. So Fusoya is going to be able to go and throw out nukes, Rose is going to be able to go and do something else, and Cecil is going to be able to sit there and wait.
Actually, more like it looks like he's going to be able to sit there and die.
And Kohrek, again, forgetting to restore all of Fusoya's mana, but is choosing to throw out a Fire 2, and I assume Rosa will be throwing out an Ether 2. Locke is checking his agility. I believe I saw 19 agility on that Sid. That is not going to work. And Golbez is saying why. Let's see how this goes for Locke.
And it looks like the moment when Kohrek realizes that Wyvern is it.
Yeah, Kohrek is in for the same terrible realization that Locke is in right now, that there is no escape but Wyvern.
And you know, I really like that this flag set has just the traditional Wyvern and not the version of it that changes the attack. It's
Yep.
just so much more interesting to have to deal with the quad 9s to the entire party than it is just random whatever.
Well, the other thing is, with that random whatever, sometimes it could be a unreflectable quad 9s to the party. Big bang.
And then there's also the times where it's been where I've seen it self-destruct.
Yep, that's a funny one. Retreat's another funny one.
This does not look like it's gonna be an easy one at all.
No, Wyvern at this location has 38 agility, which unless you have an anchor, you're going to need to grind a bit to get up to the agility to match it, or get an anchor, find a cursed ring to make your agility work. Because Kohrek has gotten Excalibur, Kohrek has done his fun stuff with his shop, and Kohrek is coming back to Baron for something. I'm guessing there's something in these shops that he needs. So Sid, there is a package, and there is a Sand Ruby that I believe neither runners have checked, but it might be a Sid in the bed, which wouldn't help. And there is doing the Giant, which could go and lead to a character, but that is definitely a bit of time. But if Locke can't go and get his agility taken down, he may need to go and do one of those things, or he may need to just simply grind up a bunch of levels to get a character up to equal with Wyvern. We know there is a cursed ring in Cave Bahamut. If you can go and get that cursed ring, that will go and bring Sid down to 4 agility. And with that 4 agility, this is much more manageable.
But Locke has no way of knowing it's there.
Yeah, Locke, Sid is at 19 agility. Fasoya is at 20. I didn't see what level his Cecil was, but I believe he's in the high 20s at this point.
Oh,
Yes.
and apparently Curse Rings also assured to be in one of the gated shops.
Well, that's something that can definitely be helpful because Locke is coming back down and is looking into shops now, so... And Kohrek is turning on encounters, so it looks like Kohrek wants to go and do a bit of grinding now.
Considering the options available, I would have probably gone for the D machine grind myself.
Maybe Kohrek doesn't want to get that... Well, doesn't want to commit that much to getting experience, but this could also be rather inefficient because there are some rather annoying encounters on the way down. And discovering that coffins are not going to go and work on red giants, so out of the... You need to get out of your menu before you can run away, Kohrek. There you go. So that is unfortunate for Kohrek to discover, as those coffins did cost him a bit, but yeah, this is taking a bit of time for Kohrek. And this is, well, this is a decent amount of experience, and you can cast Weak and just get rid of this thing right away, so definitely don't go and blame anyone for going and taking this. And LockeCole is scouring all of the shops to go and look for a cursed drink. We do have a Baron key, so that is something that isn't going to go and completely destroy Locke, as there could be a cursed drink in a still gated shop, but there are no more gated armor shops. But Locke is just going through every place, not even opening chests to go and hope to pick them up, even though he's walking past them. Demarine, I believe you've already sent these runners enough misfortune cookies. They don't need more.
I don't know. Send some more. It's making it interesting.
It is definitely, like, you can feel the panic and desperation coming through this, as Locke is just scouring, looking for anything. And Kohrek is looking for any encounter that isn't awful and not succeeding. I don't know how many grind fights he's been able to take, but he hasn't been able to take that many, because that Rosa is not at 2000 HP. And Locke is going and checking the package character. Oh, excuse me. Locke is going to check the package character that he doesn't have because he reset out of that fight.
Yeah, nobody kept the package.
I feel a little bad laughing at his confusion, but I'm not going to pretend it wasn't a little funny of... Where's the cutscene trigger? Where's the cutscene... Oh, ow. Ow. And here's Kohrek deciding he's going to be a bit less picky on his grind fights and taking the Ginryu Red Giant fight.
I will say this much, the not having the package, that just sort of reminds me of the times I've tried to go to use the pass without having.
Yep, done that one as well. That's not my favorite moment as well. Throwing out a nuke and a life on the life on Rydia. And discovering that Ginryu also cannot go and be killed with coffins. However, you can cast Weak on them. That is something that Fusoya is very good at, and I expect we'll see one of those coming out shortly. Well, that Blaze is definitely not doing favors for Kohrek. No, Red Giants cannot be coffined. Kohrek has tried. I believe the only things that can be coffined in the Lunar Subterrane are Warlocks and Carries. Red Giants are immune to a surprising number of things. Though, if you really want to look at a surprising number of immunities, look at the Hairdryer's chest. Those Procleotes and Jucleotes are a lot of things. And LockeCole did succeed in finding a Dwarf Axe, but I wonder if he's still hoping for a Cursed Ring. Well, there's the axe, so that can go and help LockeCole a bit, and that might be what he needs to get through this Wyvern fight. As Kohrek finds a single gold dragon to go and fight, and is making progress against them. I wonder at what level Kohrek is going to go and be comfortable with their levels and go back to Wyvern.
I'm not sure. That's kind of a tricky spot.
Ooh, but we do find a double dragon fight, which is definitely what you want to go and see in this situation, as that's a juicy amount of experience and you can life glitch it. Ooh, and Rosa not getting the full damage off. It goes down to single digits, but it's still sometimes more than one. Ooh, but is able to get theoretically was going to be able to get a double life glitch off, but instead chose to queue up a weak. Oh, and to address the question from chat, what do we think the runner's inner monologue sounds like? I believe it sounds like ah! Sorry to headphone users.
It's either that or words that we really probably should not say on stream.
Sassafras? But Kohrek has definitely gone and felt good about the amount of experience. And to answer your question, yes, Kohrek has a cursed ring. It was in Cave Bahamut in the 4th chest. Kohrek is double prepared to make sure Sid remains an anchor because he has the ability to take 20 agility away from Sid. Both runners going back down to this Wyvern fight, and we're going to see who has the better setup for this, because this is ugly. Kohrek does have higher levels at this point, and both of them are at very low battle speed. Battle speed 6.
You know, I'm almost starting to feel bad about wanting something hard for them, because apparently we really found it.
Oh yeah, we definitely found something truly brutal for these runners, and yeah, this is definitely a real mean thing for them. Oh, and Sid has hit 0 agility, so Sid is even able to get a Star Veil up. Cecil being the only one not getting a Star Veil is actually a bit to Kohrk's detriment, I think. Okay, so you know how we said we wanted the alt gauntlet at this spot? I'm finding some delicious irony in the fact that we are set up with a team filled with walls, and we're the one reflecting spells against the monster. Look in the mirror. We're the evil mask. The moon is calling upon us to reflect upon our actions. After we get through this, the runners know that this is just going to be a straight run to the end, as they have to go through whatever key item checks come out of this.
And Kohrek got it.
That is a huge advantage for Kohrek because LockeCole was not able to get any Star Bells off. And it's the tower key, so that's one of the objectives. Objective 3 is directly gated by Wyvern. The real question is, does Objective 3 directly gate Objective 4 and give the Twin Harp? Or is this going to be, do Cave Magnus go and do the Earth Crystal first because we want you to go and suffer more?
Is it bad that I almost want them to have to suffer a little bit more?
No. And Kohrek choosing to do a bit more grinding. It looks like he wants to go and get Nuke on Rydia because that's the only thing left I think you could ever have a justification for wanting at this point. You have a Cecil with Excalibur, you have a Rosa with 2300 HP, you have Fusoya, you have a Sid who with minus 20 agility is still an anchor. There is Nuke on Rydia. If Kohrek does any more grinding, I'm going to go and accuse him of grinding for vanity, because I don't think there's anything else left in this game that he could really pose a challenge to him. Though he does forget to turn off encounters, which is going to be a little annoying when he runs into one.
Oof.
Oh, Simbu calling for something terrible. Cave Mags encounters. I don't think that's likely to happen because he has to go through the tower first. And I don't think you're going to be able to hero walk the entire tower up to the cannon room and out without going and getting one encounter.
Yeah.
And Simbu, even I think going and having them die to Cave Magnus and needing to redo the Wyvern fight at the Ogopogo spot is beyond evil.
And there's the encounter.
And Kohrek turns off the encounters. Locke has taken his encounter as saved and is going back to Wyvern now. Looks like he's going to be doing this one level at a time. But Kohrek has definitely got a solid lead at this point with the pass and the tower key. He unless something terrible happens to him, he's going to be able to take care of the seed without too much issue. And Valvalis at Tower Super Cannon is not exactly a terrible thing.
Audience, as we said earlier, you can thank Demarine for this one.
And Locke not able to get the turn to get his Starveil off in time, it seems. I believe based on the math Simbu has told me that you need to have more than one relative equal relative agility character in order to go and get your Star Veil off in the form of is you need the second character to enter the queue to buffer the action. But the real thing here is you need a curse string when you're dealing with Wyvern sometimes, or you need to go and have been very dedicated to keeping your anchor very low levels, which Kohrek was doing until he found that curse string, and then he decided, okay, I can let it gain levels. Because without an anchor, you're in trouble with Wyvern.
Anchors are very, very useful.
To explain about what anchoring is, to anyone who is unaware, the ATB system, being the first ATB system that Square Enix made, is a little interesting in the fact that it takes Cecil's agility as the base denominator for determining how fast anything is. So Cecil is what we call relative agility 5, where 5 ticks at the ATB, Cecil goes and gets a turn. And I'm going to say, required Earth Crystal, this is a almost required, not really, 17 out of 17 seed. Getting back to the agility, when the game goes and looks at Cecil's agility and checks everything else's, and depending on what their agility is relative to Cecil's, they're either going to be faster and require fewer ATB ticks to get their turn, or slower and requiring more ATB ticks to get their turn. And with that determines how fast things can be. But if it takes 5 ticks for Cecil to get his turn, the most anything can be is 5 times faster than Cecil. And for the Enterprise, we don't make Cecil the required anchor, we just go and put it by default to the middle character. So if you can go and be more than 5 times fast as your anchor, which for this formula it means being more than 2.5 times their agility, you can go and just have all of your characters acting as fast as possible. And that is what happened for Kohrek, and that is why Kohrek was able to go and get all of his Star Bells off, while Locke is going in with a similar party, but without that curse string, is running into these troubles. And to answer a question from chat, the tower key to Earth Crystal. Earth is required to give Twin Harp. Twin Harp is going to give the spoon because package was seen at the top of Lower Babel on Ogopogo, which both runners reset out of. This will also make the seed a full 28 out of 28 for both runners because Wyvern gated the last 2 objectives. And there is Dr. Luge being one of the more annoying fights because, hey, it's 2 parts and you can't go and just completely one-shot it. And if you don't go and get things going fast enough, then you have to wait through some text. But Rydia does have nuke, so maybe she can sneak in and finish this off. And yeah, this is a terrible way to go out just because it comes down to having not found a piece of equipment that Kohrek did find. Though, to Kohrek's credit, he did also keep himself prepared for this eventuality by keeping Sid dead until he found a curse string. And here we find a duplicate Vesulia at the Earth Crystal, which theoretically could be the first one you find if you chose not to go and do Dwarf Castle, but hey, look, the 7th character of the seed, Edge.
Of course, in the last spot.
Get it behind the moon, because, who wouldn't want to go and have an extra Berserker, though with this team, Reflex Strats are definitely not a terrible option. But here's Kohrek going into the Dark Knight Cecil fight. Yeah, let's go and show Dark Knight Cecil what exactly a fully leveled White Mage can do, and what a fully leveled white mage thinks of your little darkness stuff. Or Rydia can go and say, hey, here's something for going and bringing fire to my hometown.
Payback.
If Rydia chooses not to go and learn the lessons of forgiveness and instead let her hatred burn like 1,000 suns, that's probably what it would feel like. But now Kohrek knows this is going to be his twin harp. We're going to finally get the required music from the seed that we were all so excited to see over 2 hours ago. The seed has been so mean to our runners.
But it's been
Demarine, I
so
don't know.
wonderful.
Very true. Also, Demarine, I think you've moved up from fruit baskets to the next level of condolences, heartfelt letters of sincere regret. But, yeah, Locke is... I can't go and blame Locke for going and getting tilted with this. I really can't. This is a terrible position to be in because there's one way to beat Wyvern, and it's getting a better agility anchor, and that is going to be really, really hard. He does find another good fight, but yeah, Kohrek is on his way to the end of the seed. Going to get our music. We're going to go and be able to hear that shortly, and Locke is working and grinding because that's his only out at the moment. He needs to get higher agility so he'll be able to try and get 2 relative agility 2 characters and match this Wyvern. And going through the bosses we've seen, I don't know of anything that can be scary or dangerous because we've already seen Wyvern and Golbez and Gauntlet for being amusingly annoying, and
Yeah, they're really... I just can't think of anything that would actually make this hard.
yes, but now we get, after promised more than 2 hours ago, our music. So I am finally going to shut up for a bit and let you all enjoy this lovely music.
About time.
And we get some lovely town music from Mystic Quest. And we see the last Lunar Sparkle. It's Paladin, who takes a nuke to the face and, because of the magic power of the spot, doesn't die, but then takes an Excalibur to the face and does die.
So now it looks like Kohrek just needs to go take out Zeramus.
Getting his spoon, gonna feel real sad about not having the edge to throw it, I'm sure. But there's Kohrek's crystal. Kohrek is at least perfectly positioned to go and exit with all 3 mages because Rosa has finally learned exit after learning every other single white spell in the game.
That's always the fun part. It's like, I go check her, I'll go check through her spells and be like, wait, where's exit?
That is one of the few things that Forum has over Rosa. Forum will go and learn exit before Rosa most times, because Rosa will only learn exit after clearing the Tower of Za.
And I mean, even the Paladin has exit.
The Paladin has exit reliably at level 20, which is not too hard to get either, I believe. But we are going to Zeromus. We are going to the final boss of this game, and I do believe we have one important question left to ask.
Yes, we do. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
Indeed, we don't take Zeromus into the normal boss pool because, well, he's a bit too much, a bit too strong, a bit too complicated, and a bit too big to go and just throw in anywhere. So, because this is a randomizer, we don't just leave him alone, we give him a makeover. So get your Z flags out as we find out who we are kicking the butt of today. Though I think we can all agree Wyvern kicked our butts for a very long time.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Wyvern and the arcane magic that is agility anchoring. Locke going and queuing up the crystalline. Did Locke go and bring up his battle speed? I think, yes, he did go and bring up his battle speed. Queuing up the crystalline Sid, a Starveland Visoya. I don't know if he's going to Berserk Cecil or if he's going to go and rely on Reflect strats, but this is going to be a pretty quick fight for, well, Kohrek.
DD Armus.
Well, I guess Demery's stepped on enough toes. It's time for our runners to go and step on this Zeromus boss one last time. So really, I think he's going to have to step down because Wyvern was the true evil wall of the seed. Korek's definitely in step, going and throwing out all those lovely nukes. Had Cecil throw the crystal to nerf this DD Armus, and I believe we're going to be having a pretty smooth fight as Sid queues up to throw a potion. Rydia may go down here, though. And here come all the nukes out, just throwing out the damage. This can't really keep up with this flurry of nukes and flames coming out. But Locke does go and get his walls off and is able to go and start making progress on this fight. So he has made progress. Scala, I'm so happy you decided to dance to the community tune when you made this one.
Seriously. Pun police.
But this DRM, So the reason why Kohrek is not directly attacking Zeromus is one of the things I mentioned is about Zeromus being complicated. He has 100,000 health. Only he really doesn't. He has 61,000, but he refills after you do 42,000 damage. But if you use only reflected spells, Zeromus can't go and do counterattacks. And there is the crumble. DDR miss is done. Kohrek is our first place finisher with an official time in I will need to go and wait to get confirmation from our restreamer as they are in the SRO room, but this has been quite the seed.
And just in time for the done, Locke finally got Wyvern.
Indeed, he's at least on his way to go and finish up this seed, and we are joined by Kohrek. Congratulations on your first place finish, Kohrek. So the big question of that seed, how did you feel about getting that Mist Dragon out of the way so soon?
You know, honestly, I kind of felt pretty terrible because went into that fight with like nothing, and it took forever to kill it. And then I found an Ogre Axe on like my next check, so I'm like, well, but the good thing is that the Rydia's mom was holding that Bahamut, which having a fully buffed up Rydia for this seed was a godsend. It was very nice to have.
Okay, so the real question, how did you feel about that Wyvern?
Yeah, man, like, I don't think I've had Wyvern at Ogopogo, and honestly, on that second attempt, when I was battle speed 5 and I was, you know, all anchored down and I couldn't get more than 2 off, I'm like, huh. Like, I was, like, kind of shook up, so I'm like, well, we're just gonna have to skip this for now, I think, and hope that it's not required, and, well...
Yeah, that was definitely something. I believe, if you can correct me if I'm mistaken, you were keeping Sid dead after the you got underground and had him equipped with an ogre with the dwarf axe until you found that curse string in Cave Bahamut. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was at agility 8, which is most people can get to RA1. So I was trying to keep him there, but yeah, once I found that curse string, it obviously he can be just as good as an anchor with a lot more HP. So he was alive from that point on.
But you were definitely cognizant of you need to go and keep him at low agility in case a wyvern shows up, which very good on you for doing. That was definitely something that was a key to your victory, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it was. Thanks. There are a lot of things, a lot of lessons you learn when playing this game, and one of the ones you learn fairly early on, depending on the siege you end up getting, is the importance of anchoring and making sure you keep an anchor in these bracket seeds. So the bracket seeds, it's a lot more difficult. It has to be a lot more forefront in your mind because you can't go back and get a character. You're limited in the characters you can find. So it really has to be a strategy all the way through the seed.
And it was a strategy that you kept up very well, as well. You didn't go and complete Wyvern on the first time around. Two wipes is definitely a good time to say, I need to go, I have other checks, I should check them first rather than hard committing to this. That was a fair amount of time through that seed. How were you feeling when you baited Wyvern on the moon to go and check some other things that you had found on the moon and things you left on Earth?
Well, I mean, early in the seed, I felt behind. I thought like the sequencing and the way I got my damage upgrades and everything, it felt like I was probably going to be a little bit behind. And then I kind of settled down a bit underground. I just did some routing, did some checks. I started feeling good again. And then that wyvern showed up, and it was a little bit different. I felt very nervous, and once it became apparent that wyvern was required, I was sure I was going to lose, but I just kept going, and it ended up working out.
Yeah, that wyvern was definitely a big block for both of you. I will admit that Locke did level up his Sid, and he didn't find the curse ring in Cave Bahamut, which is something that took him a fair bit more to get through, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. After I finished, it looked like that was what Chat was saying, that he didn't get that curse ring. Especially the chests that are right along the way in Cave Bahamut, they're just such good value. Like I found, you can find like tier 6 gear, so you can get like defense swords and things like that. It's a really nice spot to just open the chests that are only a couple steps out of the way, in my opinion. And that curse ring couldn't have come at a better time.
So you've definitely studied up on these T-Pro and S-Pro flags, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. I like to study the charts with even like the trap chest weights and how they differ by location. I have, for certain situations, I have certain strategies. I'm as long as I can stay in the brackets, that I'll like try to pull out from time to time. But this seed, it was more just bang your head against the wall for the most part.
And bang what you did, you really had to. That wyvern was a pretty hard block for quite some time, and I know we keep going back to it. That was definitely a harsh part of the seed. But were there other parts of the seed that really stood out to you, even though it has been quite some time since you've, even were getting underground in the seed?
Yeah, I don't really think like anything was hard, but a lot of things took longer than I felt they should have. And that's really important when you're racing, to like be keeping pace with how you feel the fight should be going. And I just was a little bit behind on gear for some of the overworld, and I just felt like I was losing time with every fight, and that's not a really good feeling at the beginning of a seed.
Yeah, that's very fair. Imperial Dragon, do you have any questions for our runner?
Not really. I think you covered it all.
Then with that, I think we're going to go and let you go. Congratulations on your win, and I will leave one final question. How do you feel about your upcoming match with Moonblaze Wolf?
I'm excited. We've both been running a lot of these async races, and it's gone back and forth. I won a couple against him. He's won a couple against me. Some by small margins, some by big margins. I think it could be a really good race for everybody. He's obviously. I started out as a fan of this randomizer, even though I just, now I'm a runner that's in the brackets somehow. But obviously, if you've been a fan of Free Enterprise, he is really, really good, and he's been really good for a very long time. So I'm just excited for the matchup, and we'll see what happens.
I'm certainly excited for the match too, so best of luck to you, and I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you, and thank you for the commentary in the stream, and have a great night.
And with that, we see Locke is going and finishing Earth, the required detour to go and get your twin harp, leading both of our runners to a full 28 out of 28 check. And this is another time to mention thank you to our restreamer Demarine2, our tracker Gambit17, and my co-commentator Imperial Dragon. This has been a great show to put on, and this has definitely been a seed to watch.
Yes, it has. And it's been wonderful commentating with you.
This is always great fun, and I'm always happy to go and do commentary with all the lovely people of our community. So thank you for joining me. But here is Locke giving us a reprisal for music, going to go and take this in. Locke is on Team Never Forfeit. I support this because who doesn't want an encore of music?
Never give up, never surrender.
Indeed.
Unless your hardware decides to be a pain in the butt, then it is what it is.
Look, I consider that that's not giving up. That's just something going and having the computer give up on you. So we'll see how Locke wants to go and approach this Ceromus fight. He may want to go and readjust his anchors because He doesn't have the super low agility, so that could go and be a bit problematic for Zeromus. But he does have a fair number of levels, and I believe he has Nuke on Ready if I'm not terribly mistaken, but I haven't gone and confirmed her levels.
To be honest, as good as it is to have an anchor, with Zeromus, it's not all, or once you've got a certain amount of levels, it's not quite as big.
Yeah, I'm a fan of having... Oh yeah, level 53 Rydia has Nuke. But yeah, that's... I always go and keep in mind for Zeromus just because Zeromus has 69 agility, which puts him... The first time he shifts from relative agility 1 to relative agility 2 is when Cecil, or when a character is at 28 agility. And that brings Zeromus into a slightly more manageable, because when you go and throw double slows, it brings him effectively down to relative agility 4. But I don't like playing fair and giving my enemies turns. I like to have as many turns as possible.
Fair enough.
But I will again embrace some quiet, the sound of silence, so that we can hear a reprise of music.
That song brings back good memories.
Mystic Quest was definitely a fun, cheerful game. It's hard to go and feel too... It's a little simple for sure, but it's still a charming game. I had a fair amount of fun going through it multiple times. But there is Locke getting his crystal, completing his last objective, and it's going to go and, I believe, unleash a bit of fiery rage on Zeromus.
Very likely.
But this is, we're finally to the end. This seed has definitely been brutal, and Demerit has definitely gone and shown why you should be terrified when you let her roll seeds.
Yeah. 28 plus.
But here we go with the path. The path that came from the required dwarf castle. We are heading back to DD Armis to step up our game and bring this seed to a perfect ending. Yeah, I'm curious as to what... I didn't see Locke reshuffle his teams. Sid is still in the middle, so he still has that agility, but I think with the levels he has, it's not going to matter too much.
Probably not.
Though Rydia does not have over 2,000 HP, which is... Rydia is getting close to reaching 1.5 million experience. And it looks like Locke is choosing to go for hybrid strats rather than going for full reflex strats because he has a high-level Crystal Excalibur Cecil and feels like going and letting him unleash a bit.
Nothing wrong with hybrid strats.
Nope, they're definitely good strategies as oh, and doing something cheeky, throwing a Berserk and then a wall on Sid so that Sid can get on the damage action. We don't see any nerfs coming up for the first Big Bang, so I'm curious what Locke is going to go and do for this Big Bang. Choosing not to nerf it, looks like, just going for straight DPS, reflecting all of his spells. To answer a question from chat, so Big Bangs do somewhere between, have a max damage of 2,400 or 2,700, depending on the number of the spell power, where as your spell power goes up and down, you get more rolls. With the nerfing the Big Bang, you're going and sending the magic power to what Zeromas uses for nuke, which is noticeably lower, so that damage caps out around 1,200. 2/3 of the Big Bangs, I believe, are 2,400, but at the start of phases, it's set to its maximum power and can go into a maximum damage of 2,700. So Rydia is in a pretty dangerous situation, but does manage to avoid taking a wipe and is set to go and throw out more damage.
That could have gone bad very easily, though.
Yes, the advantage is Rydia does have high magic evasion because she has very high casting stats in both wisdom and willpower. That is something that at least augments her relatively low HP, so she is pretty likely to go and not take a maximum roll. She is able to go and usually avoid some of those rolls of the Big Bang, but you can get unlucky and she can just go down as she still does not have the raw HP compared to other characters. But so many nukes coming out. This is this DDRMS is definitely getting fried pretty hard, though there is a shake. If we don't do any healing, this could be a little scary. Well, I guess we're likely to go and trigger a refill quickly, but Fusoya is out of MP, but is going to throw some healing on Cecil.
And there we go.
There is the flash. There is LockeCole finished. And we'll see if we can get him in here for an interview soon. And I believe we're joined by him now. Congratulations on your finish, Locke. How did you feel about that wyvern?
Wyvern sucks.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for you. What was your thought process when you realized you had to go and deal with that wyvern?
I was kind of mad because I know for a while there I didn't have any life potions because I didn't check like anything shop wise, and just kind of thinking, I was like, how can I do this?
Yeah, that wyvern was... Your opponent lucked out and found a curse. Well, your opponent one kept Sid dead when they got to the moon, and when they found a curse ring in Cave Bahamut, they went and allowed Sid to start getting levels again.
Yeah.
So that was their strategy. And finding that curse ring was pretty huge. That was something we were kind of hoping that you'd be able to go and find, but you did go and get through that Wyvern fight. You did go and you were able to get enough levels so you can get enough people to get star bells off, which was very important. That's agility manipulation is a bit of black magic, so congratulations to you for getting through that truly evil fight there.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't know, so that's something to learn. Learning agility manipulation would be very important for that.
Yeah, Simbu is a very good source of that, and I believe he has a number of videos up for that. So I would definitely go and encourage anyone who wants to learn a bit more about how to really deal with some of these edge case fights to read up on that, as that is a very solid topic. But otherwise, you had a very solid seed. You were the first one underground. You and Kohrek were going in racing to the moon, though you had cleared Feymarch, and he had only cleared top of tower, leaving you with a check advantage on the way up to the moon. Tell me about how your early game was going.
I felt great, honestly. Like, going through everything, getting that as I did, like, I felt completely fine. I'm like, this is going the way I want it to, you know? Before I went into Fabul, I was like, you know what, we have a hook. If the magma key's in Fabul, I might be behind, but I'm just gonna go do the hook after I check Eblon Castle and get all of those trap chests, all of those items, because it set me up pretty well for experience and items, so.
Yeah, you were pretty set for experience, and you then found that Rydia in Cave Evelyn for that Bahamut you had. How did you feel when you saw Bahamut or Rydia and Antlion?
I kind of figured things would be okay because of that Mad Ogre chest. All I had to do was get ready up enough to cast Bahamut at least once. Which, luckily, with the experience I got from that, she could do it twice, so.
Yeah, that was definitely a very helpful thing for you to have. And once you got underground, you went and went straight to Dwarf Castle as well. Was there anything going pushing you? Well, I guess your objective was pushing you there, but was there anything else pushing you there?
Mainly just the objective. I figured it's an objective, it's another character to see who else we have in the seed. Check the shops real quick. And plus, it's usually a good source of experience because it's not the hardest thing down there.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It does give like 20 to 30,000 experience in some of those fights, I believe.
Yeah, I think 25.
That's certainly a big infusion of experience for your team that's just come through the hook route. Well, do you have any final thoughts on your time in the Fabul Gauntlet? Because you did unfortunately get knocked out in this 1v1 match. This is definitely a brutal seed to go and have, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna say, like, Kohrek did great. He's amazing. I feel more beat by the seed than Kohrek.
Hey, you didn't lose to the seed. You beat it.
Yeah,
You have
I
a
finished
time.
it. But
You have
that's how
killed
I
the
feel.
Roman. I can definitely understand that, though. That seed was brutal. I give you the utmost congratulations and respect for going and pushing through that, because it's very easy to go and just get broken by some of those situations. It is very hard to go and deal with some of those things that you dealt with. So congratulations to you for getting through that.
Thanks. I'm gonna be honest though. Had he finished before I killed Wyvern, I would have forfeit. I would have been like, you know what, I'm hungry. He beat Wyvern, I didn't. That's fine. But he pretty much got done as I got the Star Veils off. So I was like, all right, I'm finishing. I'm gonna take it out.
I would not blame you in the slightest, just because we were wondering if you were going to be able to get through that fight at all, and you did. Again, another congratulations to you for getting through that with your team. That was definitely a very brutal fight.
Well done.
Thank you.
But with that, we'll let you go so you can go and have your dinner. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for the restream and the commentary. I'm excited to watch this back to see where exactly the roadblock started. That's gonna be fun to know.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have some fun watching this back, I think.
Yeah, thank you, and have a good night, everyone.
Good night. And with that, we are at the end of our race. Kohrek advances, LockeCole unfortunately going and getting knocked out, taking a very brutal Wyvern, burning out our runners, but we'll go and see Kohrek in the next round. But how did you feel about that race, Imperial Dragon?
It was everything I wanted for an interesting race.
That's true. I can't disagree, and I believe we're going to be able to go give you another interesting race as Free Enterprise has yet another brackets round race going. So we're going to send you on over there, give everyone our love, and have some more fun watching Free Enterprise, because this has been a lot of fun so far for me tonight.
Indeed.